What's up, YouTube? This is your boy Des the King, and we back yet again with another episode of King Talk TV. Today I have another special guest, friend of mine by the name of Ian, goes by the name of Bearded_Viking on IG. Apparently, yes, like in his name, he is a descendant of the Vikings. He's also an Army veteran, strongman, all around great guy. Also was a part of sniper platoon, I think that's what you call it, and we talked a little bit about that as well. Very great guy, motivates me every day to take care of myself, and I'm sure he'll motivate you all to do the same thing. So if you like this episode, please give me a like, support your boy, please share this, comment below your thoughts, and let me know what you think. See y'all soon in the next episode.
Oh, man.
Peace.
Yo, what's poppin', bro?
Des the King.
Yes, sir. And looks like I'm not the only king here today. You are a Viking.
You're not wrong.
Right, man. Hey, I want to say, I've been meaning to ask you for a long time to get you on the show. We finally got it on, and I'm happy you're here, man. But thank you for being on. How you doing today?
Buddy, I am happy to be here. I've been watching your podcast every Sunday. I love them, man. I absolutely love it. I really appreciate you having me on. And, buddy, life's good. The sun's shining. God's great today, buddy.
All what you said is true, man. All what you said is true. And again, I'm happy that you're on here today. And I'm not going to keep you long, but just wanted to have a interesting, fun conversation with you.
Yeah.
Touching on a few things. For what I know, you are a military veteran. Are you active military?
I am not. Actually, I got out of the military in May. I did 6.5 years in the U.S. Army in the infantry 11 Bravo series, and I was graced enough and blessed enough to be in the recon sniper section for a good chunk of that, chunk of my career. So it was a great time.
Wow. Okay. So sniper. So you were the guy that set up, waiting for the person to come out, and you took him out.
That was it, man. It was that was that in the nutshell. That was it.
Man, that sounds really brutal, man. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So you being a sniper in the Army, are you pretty much working by yourself? Do you have a team? How does that go?
So it was kind of broke up into two different platoons. You had a recon platoon and a sniper platoon, all in one giant platoon, and then you kind of went out in either 2-man to 3-man teams. You basically had a radio guy, your spotter, and then your actual trigger, your trigger sniper. And everyone you could do all three jobs because you had to rotate when you were kind of on each position. That way, some dudes were rested, some dudes were monitoring the radio, kind of et cetera, stuff like that. So typically a 3-man team is what you go out in.
Okay, because when I think of snipers, man, I usually think of just one guy working.
But it's one guy. Yeah. A little bit more than that.
It's a whole unit of people. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So was that something that you signed up for? How did you end up getting it?
So I signed up as just infantry, and then it was kind of one of those, once I got to my actual unit, they had tryouts to go to the recon sniper platoon, and I ended up trying out for it, made the team, and then just kind of brought my level of expertise to whatever I could possibly bring it to the table. And I was lucky enough, I learned from, two of the guys that are still in the unit actually won the international sniper competition. They beat out Navy SEALs, SF, they beat them all. And I was lucky enough to work with those guys. And, so sorry, anyways, tried out and landed in the recon platoon and kind of bounced back and forth between the recon platoon and the sniper platoon throughout my career.
Awesome, man. What made you, how many years did you serve?
6 and change, about 6.5. 6 and change.
Are you happy you're out? How you feel about not being involved in it?
I am. I do. One of my best friends in the unit put it the best way. He'll always miss the clowns, but not the circus. And that to me is one of the biggest nails on the head. Is I will absolutely miss the dudes. That camaraderie is just something you just can't mimic anywhere else. But I don't miss a lot of it. I like being able to grow the beard and kind of just make my own life, make my own decisions, and not have a bunch of bureaucracy above me, but I do miss it sometimes.
I hear a lot of military veterans or even people who are currently in the military extremely happy to be out or can't wait to be out. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just, I think at the root of the cause, it is you being able to make your own decisions. You know, you can wake up, in a sense, you can wake up whenever you want to when you're out. You can wear whatever you want when you're out. You can go, you are on your own timeline. You are the master of your own fate, versus when you're in, you're not. It's just that I think that's at the core of it, why people enjoy that aspect of getting out, is you get just, you go from every decision of your life being made for you to now you can make every possible decision, big or small, and it's on you.
It's just about being free from all that on top of you. Interesting.
Exactly.
So what caused you to join the military? You could have did anything else, right?
So I actually have always wanted to join the military. I come from a very heavy military background. Both my grandfathers served in World War II and Korea. My dad served. His dad served. So it was one of those weird things. I just always grew up knowing that in some capacity I wanted to join the military, and I wanted to carry on kind of that legacy of, you know, going and doing the military thing. And honestly, it did boil down to I did want to serve something bigger than myself and make that sacrifice.
Awesome, man. And I'm happy you did, bro, because I like to consider myself a tough guy, but I wasn't signed up for nobody's military, man. Nobody's military. It takes I don't want to say a crazy person, but you have to have something in you to call you to want to do that type of thing, man. So I really respect you for that. But why the Army other than any other branch of military? Why the Army?
You know, it was a good question. I actually, right out of high school, kind of wanted to join the Marines and go the recon route, and then you know, I don't want to use the word unfortunately, but I was early on in my life. I was married, had kids on the way. I did have a great career going at the time, and so it was one of those. At that time, I did want to join the Marines, go the recon route, but then kind of life and God kind of threw a different curveball at me, and later in life, ended up was lucky enough to just join the Army.
Okay. If you could go back, would you change that? Would you join something else, or is it Army all the way through?
You know, if I could go back and tell my younger self something, it would definitely be at 25, 26 years old, try and go Ranger Battalion. You know, throughout my military career, I did try and go Special Forces, and it just didn't work. It just didn't happen. But I would say I would tell my younger self, or even if my sons came to me and said, "What do?" I would absolutely recommend going Ranger Battalion. When I was lucky enough to have 2 Ranger bat guys in my platoon, and just kind of hearing their stories and kind of hearing their career path, that would be the way to go.
Awesome, man. Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. To be in the military, to be functional in the military, you have to be in shape, right? For the most part. Now, I met a whole lot of out of shape military guys, but you are one of the most in shape veterans that I ever come across in my life. How do you stay in shape? Like, what do you do to stay in that in shape for military action? Or what did you do back then, and what do you do now?
Sure, I would say during that time, you know, one of the biggest things you can do is if there's ever a dude that goes down, you have to be able to pick that dude up and get him out of there. And he's not going to be wearing gym shorts and Metcons. Like, this dude's going to have a backpack. He's going to have his body armor on. He's going to have a weapon. And, I mean, this dude's going to weigh a lot. And you've got to be able to pick him up and get him out of the danger zone. So I would definitely say being physically fit is one of the biggest components of being in the military. Like, you have to be in shape. You have to be able to run fast, lift heavy. Both of those components, I think, are big factors. I definitely attribute a lot to, I followed a couple soft SF programs, and then generally just CrossFit. CrossFit really was a huge benefit to me in my military career, was just doing CrossFit, following some programs. But yes, you do absolutely have to be physically fit, run fast, and be strong.
Just like you are, man. CrossFit. So CrossFit was a thing back when your early military days?
Yes. I don't do as much now, obviously, that I'm out, because I don't have to have quite that high level of metabolic conditioning being out of the military that I had to do when I was in, because you have to take a PT test, and actually the PT test just changed recently to the ACFT, which is almost like its own CrossFit workout. Now you got deadlifts and a sprint drag carry and a run, and almost like it's their version of toe to bars or knees to elbows. Hand release push-ups now are in it. So I am very happy where the Army went with their new PT test, though. It was really cool.
Did CrossFit come from military programs, or is it vice versa? Like, because I'm not really sure, because a lot of military do CrossFit, but it made me think about which came from which. Like, did CrossFit kind of come from military, or was it the other way around?
You know, great question. I'm not sure I have a great answer to it. I actually think the military took a hard look at what CrossFit and like the CrossFit Games and kind of just the high level of capacity that, you know, competitive CrossFit athletes were bringing to the table. And I personally look at the ACFT and I think that they took a lot of those really good components of, again, adding a deadlift, which again is huge. You have to be able to be strong. But again, I do like that they still have a sprint component, a long distance component. So I think the military did look at CrossFit and say, how can we make our soldiers more fit on a broad spectrum?
Interesting. Because it's pretty much accepted in all the branches. I think all the branches, including the Army, obviously implement some type of CrossFit in their training. You know,
Yep.
and I always found that really interesting. Do you think CrossFit is the best way to prepare for military life, or something else?
I think there's a fine balance. I think CrossFit can absolutely take you to 80% of being the best you could possibly be inside of the military component. I think one thing that CrossFit lacks, just due to, I would say, almost time constraints or even the gym constraints, is your long distance running or your long distance runs, long distance rucks. You know, those are things that just CrossFit doesn't really bring to the table as far as their internal programming, which I think is a lot of like Softly. They took a lot of good things from CrossFit and then added another depth of the military long distance conditioning component and threw it in there. So kind of both. I think they do a good enough job to take to that 80%.
CrossFit doesn't necessarily help you. Do you think it helps you with, like you said a second ago, you got to be strong enough to be able to pick another grown man on your back? Do you need CrossFit to be able to do things like that?
You know, I think there are giant things in CrossFit that really help cross-translate from, you know, kettlebell swings or even like tire flips. You know, tire flips mimics, in a sense, a dumbed-down clean. And again, when you're trying to pick a dude up who's dead weight, you know, that's a deadlift. That's you trying to shoulder a grown man to your shoulder, fireman carry him out of there. So I absolutely think there's a lot of transfer that goes in from CrossFit to real-world applicability.
Right. Okay. Right now, these days, you say you don't do CrossFit that much anymore. I see your videos. You're working out, looks like 6 days a week, man, doing strongman stuff. Now, what's intriguing about strongman?
I would say for me, strongman has always been it's always been a weird goal. Like, I can tell you growing up, watching just ESPN with my dad, every Sunday, you know, old school 90s, the World's Strongest Man would come on, and it just always intrigued me. Like, that is so cool. Like, those dudes, you're the strongest human beings on the planet. There's just no question. You can't, in a sense, you can't rep cheat, you can't time cheat. You're either going to pick that implement up or you're not. It's just that simple. So I like some sense of the simplicity that comes with strongman. And yep, as soon as I got out, went full-fledged in strongman, done a couple comps. Really at this point, just kind of trusting the process. There's dudes that are just absolutely just animals in the sport, animals here in Colorado that are just absolutely ridiculously strong. So, you know, just trusting the process and just trying to get stronger every day, buddy.
I see you, man. You definitely are getting stronger every day. One thing, because like you said, I used to watch strongman videos when I was a kid. I used to be like, man, that's so amazing. You know, these guys literally pulling trucks down a hill, and it's amazing stuff. What's like your absolute goal with it, though? Are you trying to just get stronger? Do you want to win competition one day? Like, what's the long term for strongman for you?
That is such a solid question, my friend, and I think it's hard because, you know, as of right now, I'm 6'2", 260, And I'm looking at dudes that are in my weight class, and again, they're 6'2", all the way up to like 6'8", but they're pushing 3 bills easy. And I mean, they're deadlifting 700-800 pounds for reps. And part of me is like, I think my life goal is not to ever be that big, or maybe even ever that strong. I would say I've enjoyed some of just the local competitions, the amateur division that they have. I think an immediate goal is I do want to go to, they have their version of, I won't say like I'm trying to figure out. So they have the CrossFit Games, they have regionals. Like their version of regionals is kind of, they have nationals in strongman. So my goal is to go to nationals as an amateur at some point. Kind of a further goal down the road that I want to get into next year potentially is called it's the Tactical Games, which for me, I think that's the most perfect blend for me. It's strongman, CrossFit, and competitive shooting. So I'm really excited about that kind of upcoming goal where I get to kind of blend some of my military things that I really enjoyed about the military, but it also has, again, a lot of strongman components to it mixed with fast-paced shooting.
Right, man. Great stuff, bro. It doesn't surprise me, and I hope this doesn't sound rude or anything, but you look like a strong man, like the typical strong. I'm talking about what you see on TV strong man. And I watch, I'm about to transition a little bit. I watch your posts, and you always use the hashtag Viking Power and all things like that. And I look at you and I'm like, man, he looks like a Viking. He looks like one of those guys. And I did a little research on Viking history. First time ever doing it. So I'm not an expert. But I was able to find out that there are basically, I think, 3 or 4 sets of Vikings. You have the Norwegian, the Swedish, the Danish, and I even think there's some Iceland. Now, which descendant are you from?
On my dad's side of the family, we have very North Germanic background and Norwegian backgrounds on my dad's side of the family.
Okay. And I also read about the Norwegians that they are like the younger generation of the Swedish and the Danish.
Yep.
I should have sent you this video, but the Danish are like the more mature older brothers, what the guy said, and the Norwegians are more
the road younger brothers. Yeah.
A lot of rage. They were way more brutal than I thought they were. But how did you? I guess my question to you is, how do you resonate with the brutal yet sophisticated history of the Vikings? And what does that mean to you, being a descendant?
Sure. On my civilian side of the world, I do construction, and so for me, like, I just try and embody a lot of just that Viking culture, which again, at the primary source of them, they were farmers, and they were family individuals. They were very heavy into their religious beliefs, and then on top of it, you had the exploratory Vikings who would go out and find new lands and try and raid. And again, but they were also at their core, they were a very warrior-based society who were not ever afraid to pick up the axe and go party down. And for me, that's what I try and embody that of, they were big components on strength of man. You had to be very strong and a warrior to transition into manhood. And, I try and embody that with my boys of, you need to be respectful, family oriented, religious oriented, but, you're going to have to be strong, and you can't be afraid. You can't have fear in this world.
Right. That's a good point there. I was just scouring trying to find something about them that stood out, but they were not as brutal as, they were brutal. There were some sets that were real brutal, but they were not idiots. They knew how to pretty much use their resources and survive, and even thrive. So I guess my question to you is, okay, another thing. Their diet consists of a bunch of meat, is what I read as well. Are you a big meat eater? What type of stuff do you indulge in?
I am a big meat eater. It's funny you say this. I would say this last week, I've really tried to stay away from processed foods and processed meats, and I am trying to get back to more of a cleaner diet in my strength progression, and I'm eating a lot more clean meat, a lot more clean fish, chicken, steak, very very lean, just kind of trying to know where it comes from a little bit more on the organic side lately. And again, when I first got into strongman, my diet was not good. I was just trying to pack on pounds.
Yeah, I lose you, bro. You still there?
Sorry about that, buddy. Sorry about that.
Man. No problem, man. You were saying about your diet.
Yeah, so basically when I first got into strongman, I was doing just the definition of a dirty bulk, and I was eating everything in sight, processed foods, candy, sweets, whatever it was, just to get back on weight. And then now that I'm kind of more taking a step back and trusting that process a little bit more, I've really tried to turn around the diet, and I've really tried to work on meal prepping and eating clean meat. But I absolutely love meat. You will, whether this causes problems or not, you will never hear me solid plan of just a plant-based diet as a solely protein-based place.
Exactly. It seems like, I don't know, man. People say different things about meat. They say too much is bad for you, but you need it. I feel like you kind of need a little bit of meat in your life. I'm not all the way. I can never be a full vegan ever in my life. I think that's like, that'll be way too much. But do you think your diet kind of passed down from your Viking heritage? Do you think anything comes from that?
You know, I do. I think it's from Viking all the way even farther back. Like for me, and just enjoying meat, I think that's at its primal base. Like if I didn't like the smell of bacon, I think my body would be like, yeah, don't eat meat. Or if I didn't like how a steak looked, I'd be like, don't eat meat. But the fact that I do, I absolutely attribute that to primal ancestors, Viking era, all those things.
Cool, man. That's really cool to me. Did you know that they played chess back in that time, the Vikings?
I did, and it's a great game. I love chess. Anytime you want to come over, big boy, door's always open.
So, and yeah, it's very, very interesting. I got a few more questions for you, bro. I'm just going to switch the narrative a little bit.
Sure.
And just talk about what motivates you. Let me ask you this: Do you need people in your life to believe in you, or does it all come from within? What do you think?
That's a great question, and I think it's both. I absolutely, I can specifically say I look at my family. My family is definitely the anchor. I think part of it, though, still comes from inside. I think you as an individual have to have individual goals, and those goals are what's going to get you up in the day. Nothing else. Nothing else in this world is going to get you up and go chase those goals except you. You might have certain anchors along your, the road or life that you anchor to, but at the end of the day, that doesn't get you up and get you in the gym and make it happen. That comes from within you, and that fire that comes within your belly.
Right. And you still need that in you, but you still need a friend to.
Yep. Absolutely, friends and family are still absolutely like, whenever you hear somebody that's like, dude, you're an inspiration, or like, man, let me come over and clang and bang with you, like those things absolutely continue to ignite those flames and ignite that passion. But at its source, you still need to have your own goals, your own path that you want to be on. That again ignites that.
Right, man. Would you say your biggest motivation now is your children?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I hope this doesn't come off horrible or political, but like I look at, the toxic masculinity thing, and it bothers me to my core, because it's like you look at, I don't want to raise my boys like that. I want to raise them to where they're playing sports. They're not on their screen all the time. Again, strength is a huge component in pretty much any culture as far as manhood. Like you have to be a strong person to take care of your family, take care of your cave, take care of your castle. Those things don't happen unless, you have all these other things in place.
Since you brought up toxic masculinity, this wasn't on my list thing to talk about, but since you brought it up, we can talk about it for a moment. Yeah, I don't like it too, man. And I hope the Instagram doesn't take this video down because of it. But there are just certain things that men are ordained to do. There are certain things that God made men, specifically men, to do. And on the flip side, there are things that God made women specifically to do. For one, God made women to have children, and He didn't make us for that. But that doesn't leave us out the loop. We still have our own things that we are just made to do. And traditionally, boys are made to play rough, you know what I mean, to fight, to, you know, to argue, and these are the things that boys do and have been done. So to, and I can see it being a problem sometimes, you know, especially in homes that don't have both parents, because the child can get too much masculinity and doesn't balance it out, you know, with the feminine, with the mother love. So that can be an issue. But to call masculinity so toxic because you believe that traditionally boys do this all the time and it's not good for them, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just not right, man. Any other thoughts on that? I would love to hear it.
No, you hit the nail on the head for me. And again, having two boys has been great from that sense. Because again, I look at you and your jiu-jitsu thing, like at its core, you know, that's what I feel like, you know, we're supposed to do as far as that transition. You're supposed to teach them how to go out and fend for themselves, hunt. You're supposed to, you know, if you know, come across a bad situation, like again, the wrestling component comes into play. Like there's just life situations that I just don't like where some of the world's going with the whole toxic masculinity type thing about don't be men, don't be, you know, don't teach them this, that, or the other. Like I can't get on board with that. But yeah, circling back to your original question, my boys are one of my biggest motivations for just the way that I live my life.
Good, man. Good. And man, I feel sorry. Well, I'm sorry for you, but I do feel for you that you have to raise your boys in the world like this. And you are a single father, right? You are
technically yes. I have a girlfriend, and then I am divorced.
Okay. But for a while, it was just you and your boys, right? Okay. Awesome. And I would think about that sometimes, but I would think about you, and I'd be like, man, it has to be tough, you know, for any single parent, but, you know, for you specifically, to raise two men.